And you know, it's interesting because this morning someone just sent me an email about this piece in the Wall Street Journal called Fast, Cheap Way to Cool the Planet. And these two very knowledgeable people are writing about essentially carbon methane and how methane is responsible for as much as 75% of global warming in any given 20-year cycle, and that if we could figure out a way to basically harness, harvest, process, and control methane emissions, that we would be very far along the way to reducing global warming. And this is the Wall Street Journal, which is not exactly, you know, a left-wing sandal-wearing Birkenstock publication. So capturing methane gas, which could then be used as a clean energy source, could contribute to energy security and would reduce a lot of the emissions, you know, that are produced from landfills, sewage treatment, coal mines, oil and gas drilling, agricultural waste, and cattle farms in particular. This is terrific news because apparently there is now an effort, and this is kind of this thing that Arnie was talking about as well. There's a U.S. company called Timberline Energy, which is constructing landfill gas projects through a special funding. United Nations Clean Development Fund has some money for this in other countries where you actually can put this stuff to use rather than letting it contribute to global warming. And, you know, these kinds of things, environmentalists tend to very much concentrate on reducing the things that produce, you know, the emissions, coal plants and automobiles and so on. And the word geoengineering is often distasteful to environmentalists. And I think we are seeing now evidence that we have to do both, that we have to conserve energy and do the other stuff, but that geoengineering, using modern engineering techniques to grab this stuff and put it to work for us and put it somewhere where it isn't contributing to greenhouse gases is also necessary. And I think it's exciting to see that there's money and effort being invested in that. Pets. Great story. Central Florida Animal Pantry, which is a program that was started by a 9-year-old kid because I guess there were a lot of hungry pets, many of them homeless because of the economy and so on. And this kid started this thing. He felt sorry for them, and it's a way for someone to take action at the grassroots and to help out men's and women's best friends, you know, cats and dogs and rabbits and horses and others. And those kinds of stories, to me at least, always go counter to all of the bad news about people doing bad things, because there are so many stories of people, you know, young people and others just taking matters in their own hand and doing something good. That is what Alexis de Tocqueville found so incredible in the United States when he wrote his famous book, Democracy in America. He was a French philosopher and writer and so on. When he came to the United States on a trip, he said, I can't believe it. In the United States, when people see a problem, they don't say, oh, the government, she must come and help us because we can't do anything. He said, in France, you know, if the government doesn't do it, it doesn't get done. He said in the United States, people form neighborhood committees, community committees. They get a group together, they raise money, they put sweat equity into it, and they go out and fix it. And this is something we need to cultivate and I think celebrate at the end of 2009, is there are a million stories of people not waiting for the economy to recover or for something else to be done, you know, that they just were passive about, but instead essentially taking action and doing it with other people. I think that's a terrific characteristic. Sure, and I can add to that. Here's an article called Winter Winds Will Generate Electricity for Ames and ISU, and it's on the Iowa State University webpage. And it says that now Iowa State University, as well as the city of Ames, are going to be buying wind-generated electricity from that large wind farm that I keep talking about, that I can see right here from my farmhouse just north of Zeering, Iowa. And So when cities and large institutions like a university begin to buy the green energy, it creates then a marketplace for it and drives further development of green energy. So, as we see those things happening, I think we can say that not only is green the right thing to do, but it's also more and more the smart thing to do and the economically smart thing to do and possible. So, well, I'm really amazed because normally, the economy gets bad, people lose their jobs, a lot of empty stores, and then the fear is that you're going to get a sharp spike in crime. And in the first 6 months, at least, of 2009, compared to the last year, the FBI said murders are down by 10%, robberies down by 6.5%, forcible rape down by 3.3%, aggravated assault down by 3.2%. And so, whether we have, maybe it is the spirit of, we're all in this together that, brings communities together. People make more of an effort to help each other, as you were saying, Greg, and taking in a friend or a cousin or a neighbor, feeding somebody, raising some money for the food pantry or something. Maybe that's, the community just gets more involved when things are tough. I hope it's not some sort of statistical fluke, but I thought that was wonderful news. Wow, and you know what? Your comment is so brilliant because that is one area in which the Republicans can share the credit with the Democrats, because it was, in fact, during the Bush administration when they decided we can't let this whole house of rotten insurance companies' cards fall. And it was the Bush administration that began the process of trying to prop them up and pump money into them. Even though a lot of Republicans are saying it was the wrong thing to do, it was bipartisan. But in fact, Arnie, the U.S. economy is radically different now. It is much, almost everything now is essentially regulated by the government or owned by the government. So the stimulus was enormous in many ways besides just the money. Happy New Year.